So this week, we were kind of geeking out at my house. In the middle of the week, the trailer for the new Star Wars series, Obi-Wan Kenobi, was released. The setting for this story comes in the middle of the Star Wars anthology, shortly after Order 66, a deadly attack on Jedi. And this order was meant to wipe them out entirely, all part of the Emperor's plan to take over the galaxy. Any surviving Jedi are left to live in hiding, including Obi-Wan and another Jedi yet unknown, Luke Skywalker. Obi-Wan is determined to protect the young Skywalker, who is the one they hope will renew the Jedi Order. And this series is the tale of that time. In the trailer, the Grand Inquisitor, Darth Vader's henchman, who has been ordered to hunt all remaining Jedi, states, "Jedi cannot help what they are. Their compassion leaves a trail." Cue the epic music, and on the screen, amid cutscenes of lightsaber battles, we read, "Between darkness and defeat, hope survives." A trail of compassion, a desire to protect, a surviving hope. This is the stuff that makes Star Wars and other tales like it so popular. Of course, the sci-fi and special effects help hold our attention, but it's more that we recognize these themes. We recognize these themes as threads that are woven through our very lives. We certainly see them in the gospel reading today. Jesus, journeying from Galilee to Jerusalem with his friends, is leaving a trail of compassion in his wake, healing those who are ill, feeding those who are hungry, spending time with those who are ignored. And even though his ministry is threatened again and again, Jesus doesn't stop. Even when he's told point blank that Herod wants to kill him, Jesus continues to heal, to teach, to challenge systems of oppression and hate. Jesus keeps going, full well knowing that the route that he's on isn't without strife. It isn't without grief. And we hear this grief echoed in Jesus' lament. "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often have I desired to gather your children together, as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing." This grief is embedded in Jesus' desire to protect, in Jesus' desire to bring people into deeper relationship with God and with one another. This grief and desire to protect is birthed of Jesus' deep longing and love for humanity, for creation. A longing and love that is persistent, even in the knowledge that it will be rejected. A longing and love that is filled with deep hope, a hope that is more than a wish, a hope that is the living out of God's promise to never leave us, to never abandon us. A trail of compassion, a desire to protect, a surviving hope. It's hard to believe, but we're now at the 2-year mark of living in the shadow of a pandemic. 2 years ago, when families were preparing for March break trips, when we were eating in restaurants and going to the movies and coming to church without a second thought, we were faced with a virus that forced us to drastically change the way we live. 2 years of living in a world that at times has seemed unrecognizable. The stuff of eras gone by, the stuff of fiction manifested into our reality. And in this, we've faced loss of connection, loss of employment, loss of relationships, loss of control, loss of life. This loss making it tough to see even the crumbs of a trail of compassion that might be present. And we've tried so hard to protect ourselves, our families and friends, our communities, which has meant making impossible choices that have left us unsatisfied and feeling helpless, only amplifying our sense of loss. And even as people of faith, if we're being honest with ourselves, there have been times when we've lost hope. I think it's important to name this, to name the loss, the impossible choices, the despair. When we see signs of things around us opening up and shifting, it's not like we flip a switch and the past 2 years are erased. What if Jesus is calling us to meet him in the space between what has been and what will be? To spend some time looking back, reflecting on and sharing with one another the story that has been, intentionally on the lookout for the trail of compassion, the places of protection and surviving hope, even if it's just a glimmer in what has been very real times of darkness. For me, the trail of compassion is paved with emails, phone calls, and Zoom sessions of your stories. Those times that you invited me into your joys and hardships, to listen and pray, to celebrate or mourn. The places of protection have been enduring friendships, friendships that have survived and even grown stronger despite lack of in-person connection. And the glimmer of surviving hope has been this right here, our times of worship. Sunday after Sunday, whether on Zoom or in person, from our homes or the church, we have continued together in our learning to follow Jesus. To be sure, there's been struggle and pain. The past 2 years hasn't looked the way I've wanted it to. It hasn't looked the way any of us have wanted it to. It's been far from perfect, but I think it's been authentic. And because Jesus has been with us every step of the way, might we be able to see it's been enough? When you pause and look back, where have you seen the trail of compassion, places of protection, and glimmer of surviving hope? Author Mark Yaconelli writes, "We don't become hopeful by talking about hope. We become hopeful by entering darkness and waiting for light. Between darkness and defeat, hope survives." Jesus' trail of compassion, his desire to protect, it leads straight to the cross. It leads straight to the cross and the unlikely hope that is found in the outstretched arms of Jesus, where we see that it is love that endures, love that saves. Yes, we may find ourselves in times when, try as we might, we can't see this, where we doubt, where we feel lost. And Jesus' saving love is still present, even in our moments of uncertainty, because the light of the world has come. No matter how dark it gets, this light finds a way in. My prayer for us today is that we have the courage to share our stories lived in the darkness, helping one another to recognize that hope was there all along. Amen.